What's up, world? It's your boy Trey Retro underscore GT. Back for another episode of G.Taylor Show. And listen, I want to reintroduce myself. I'm Dr. Gary Trey Taylor, licensed clinical social worker. I've been in the profession at this point for about 11 years at this point as a social worker. And I think it's time that I kind of do a reintroduction to me as a social worker because I feel like I've attained every degree, or at least every helping degree related to the social work profession. And so let me kind of run through some credentials. I have a doctorate in social work from University of Kentucky, a master's of social work from George Mason University, and I have my bachelor's of science and psychology from VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University. I'm also a licensed clinical social worker. I'm able to practice independently in the state of Virginia. I'm only licensed in Virginia. That's the only one I wanted to be licensed in. Thought about doing other states, but then I kind of fell off. I'm also a clinical supervisor. I supervise individuals who are looking to become licensed clinical social workers in the state of Virginia as well. I am also EMDR trained, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. I am trained in EMDR. Didn't finish the whole full completion to be certified, but I am trained to utilize that for somatic-based purposes. And so that is a little bit about my journey into social work. Now, what do I do currently? Yeah, Doc, I can get you all that, I hear all that, whatever. What do you do currently? My current day-to-day life or job or role now is I am an assistant professor at Virginia State University at our Department of Social Work, the master's program. And as an assistant professor, I teach graduate level classes to graduate social work students at a historically black college university. Sorry. And these individuals are looking to become social workers in their profession. I teach a variety of different classes. I teach generous practice with social work, generous practice with individuals and groups. I teach cultural competency and diversity. I teach trauma and social work. I also teach some of the gen practice with families and groups. Have done communities and orgs. Can't remember if I've done that yet or not. I've also created courses related to leadership and social work practice, trauma-informed leadership, and also private practice and social entrepreneurship. Those are my two courses that I've created. And yeah, so I do a little bit of both. I'm also QM certified. So QM certified meaning the Qualities Matter rubric and to teach online. So if there's a process on how you teach online and how you set up classes and things of that nature, I'm certified in that to do just that. Now, that's my day to day. I'm an assistant professor. I've been there for about 3.5 years, going on 4 years now, which is wild to think about. Now, on top of that role, I am also the MSW online program coordinator. What does that mean? Well, it means that I manage the online program for our department, making sure that online students who take asynchronous courses have the same experience, or at least somewhat close to those who are in person coming to campus to see that. And so obviously, if you've taken online courses before and taking face-to-face courses before, you know there's a stark difference between the approach. Some are asynchronous, some are hybrid, some are a little bit of both. So that is my day-to-day. How did I get here? That's probably the question that you're trying to figure out. How do I get to the point of all of these different things and becoming teaching in a higher institution or in academia in some form or fashion? And that's a good question. I didn't get here by chance. Actually, I didn't know I was gonna get here. Again, coming out of school, I obtained my bachelor's in psychology back in 2011. I started working in inpatient psychiatric units for about 2.5, 3 years before I started my master's degree in George Mason University. So my first start in the introduction to the field of mental health or professional mental health was in psychiatric inpatient. I worked there for a number of years, worked all different shifts from 7 to 3 to 3 to 11 to overnight shifts. And when I attained my master's in social work, I did some TDT, some therapeutic day treatment, in-home counseling. I didn't survive long in home counseling. Did therapeutic day treatment for about 1.5 years, 6 months to 9 months, until for my master's program, which I tell my students all the time, y'all in a different category, we could not work during our master's program. But We some of us did, they made it work, but our schedule just wasn't possible. So um, I did do that. I ended up, and then I kind of just fell off a little bit. I just started my speaking or doing workshops in the community around like well-being and mental health, things like that. And then once I graduated in 2015, I ended up doing crisis therapy, which is doing psychiatric assessments for folks who needed to go to psychiatric inpatient or some level of care that's lower than that, or they can go home. So I started doing assessments. And at that point in time, when you get your MSW, you can decide if you want to get your license or not. I didn't want to get my license at first. I didn't want it. I wanted to do policy. My concentration is in social policy and advocacy at George Mason. But where I was at, clinical still reigns at that point. So then I matriculated into doing, becoming a supervisee for social work. And it took me till 2020 to pass my licensure exam. I got my hours. I did my supervision. Took me 3 tries to pass my licensure exam. And so I'm dealing with that right now as I'm managing supervisees to make sure they get past their exam. Exam is tough. It's hard. It's challenging. It's not a merit or actual litmus test of actually how well of a social worker you are. It's a test to just measure, do you know these things? And sometimes that's just not fair. But here we are with that. If you want to become a licensed clinical social worker, you have to pass this exam for now. Hopefully we can find an alternative here soon, like some other states that have been working on to do just that, because it's not fair to keep good social workers out of the program just because they can't pass the exam. Now, with that being said, I became a licensed clinical social worker, decided to open up my private practice in 2020. During the middle of the pandemic, most of my private practice was virtual. I did have an office, but again, the pandemic kind of, stifled everybody from going back into office. Then we went virtual. Did that for about 3.5 years. Had to stop that because I had to shift, and ended up getting an opportunity to teach at Virginia State, which was a blessing because I was looking for something more stable to still do private practice on the side, and ended up taking on this leadership role at academia and then being here 3.5 years, and time happens, and that's where we're at today. I did become a supervisor, clinical supervisor in 2022 to supervise. There's a shortage of people supervising as folks for licensure. So I was able to answer that call as well. And that is my trajectory of this work. And so I started the doctoral program in 2024 as a way to say, okay, well, if I want to maneuver a shift again higher up, I do have a doctorate under my name to be able to, do just that, along with my clinical expertise and experience. So at this point, early on experience, it's kind of dropping off, in comparison to what the role is counting for right now at this moment with the LCSW, the DSW, and any teaching experience. And so that is my trajectory and how I got to that point. It is a long trajectory. It is challenging. My workflow and what it looks like today has no merit on what it looks like back in 2015, 2018, and 2020. My workflow and my day-to-day activities look different than when I was in private practice compared to what it is today. That is something that you got to take into consideration to figure out what you would like your ideal schedule to be, and which area of social work practice you would like to engage in and go into. So that's a little bit about the journey. What are my day-to-day on a social work perspective? Most of the time I'm doing a lot of answering the emails, talking with professors, talking with students, managing the day-to-day of the program and programmatic issues, addressing those different things. And then also part of that is a lot of that is also teaching courses as well, preparing content for the class, revamping content, providing things that can inform and engage the classroom students, grading, things of that nature. And then also on the side, speaking, facilitating, doing workshops based upon my area of expertise, whether that's Black men's mental health, wherever that's AI, technology, and social work, wherever that's, cultural competence, cultural humility, and social work. I also added keynotes to that as well. So my day-to-day kind of looks at between programmatic issues of the online program, interacting with students, professors, leadership, in our program, managing course content of our online program, managing my own classes, teaching my own classes, and then third, actually doing supervision, fourth for supervisees or students, and then fourth doing speaking and workshops around my research areas of expertise or things that I like to talk about with reference to the mental health of Black men, rural mental health, social work, AI, things of that nature, you name it, we're doing it in that space. And so that's the trajectory. That's kind of my day to day. And that's something that you can think about as you maneuver into the space of social work, because it's not just do therapy and do clinical based therapy all day. You can mix it up and do different things. Hope this is helpful. If you need me to do a part 2 of this actual episode, please drop a comment below. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to the subscribe to the podcast, but also to the actual channel, the G.Taylor Show. More of these type of things will be coming here soon. All right. Take care. Have a good week.